All right. So Jojo was apparently released 1.5 days ago, right? This is like timeline. Okay. Dom puts out video. Then apparently Jojo is actually not fired. Maybe. And rather they're trying to fire him. Rather, C9 is trying to fire him. But now it's legal. Okay, so I almost tweeted this last night before I went to sleep, but I didn't because I was really trying to get 100% confirmation on various things. And this is still not 100%. It's like 99. I don't know exactly what is happening between the two legal teams. So there's this, okay? Now, I'm going to go into the threads. Now, the claim is that Jojo was late 43 times, right? But this number is being disputed. Some instances are higher, and, you know, other things like what constitutes lateness and whatnot. That's all fine. Now, it's also for cause, okay? Now, this is a really interesting thing, and I'm going to talk about why this is interesting in just a bit, once we get into the threads, and why the for cause is interesting, especially if you know, like, various things that have happened in C9 over the years. When it comes to for cause and you understand legalities and, like, these types of things. So, other things that I think, and obviously I tweeted that I do think that the reason for Jojo being fired is a farce, right? And then there were some people in my comment sections that were trying to argue about the usage of the word farce, as well as like some other things. I do not think that there is any universe that we ever hear about this if they beat 100 Thieves and they end up going to Worlds. I don't think that we ever hear about this. And obviously there are people that are saying, okay, well, that's obvious, right? Because it's justified enough that if you do go to Worlds, then, you know, you're not going to care about it. Well, why don't you care about it? But also, how does a player have 43 latenesses over the course of a year without it being a management issue, right? Without it being a systematic problem, perhaps. So, with that being said, things don't make sense. Now, we're going to get into Rigby. Now, Rigby likes to, let me think here. Let me think what, like, Rigby likes to do. Oh, man. Rigby likes to say things sometimes where I guess there's been instances where he clearly doesn't know 100% of, like, what he's actually talking about, but Rigby's, like, social media thing and then, like, the thing that he did during Worlds, where he just brought up, like, random stuff, that ended up happening. And Rigby will sometimes just, like, stir the pot. Right? I don't know. I don't really know how to talk about it too well. Now, I'll be really transparent in that I don't have a positive outlook on this person. And it has nothing to do with having ever met them. Haven't met them. I haven't met them. They've spoken from conjecture and like speculation and hearsay several times, like in the past. Obviously, one time pertaining to me. And then I feel like the thought processes that they follow is not actually consistent. But anyways, this is a deleted tweet. Doesn't make any sense why it's coming out. It makes absolutely no sense why he interjects here. How to make him not late, EG version. Make him use the bathroom in the morning after coming to the office. Make him come 1 hour earlier than the rest because he doesn't use bathroom for over an hour. When he misses meeting due to toilet issue, tell him what was decided and say deal with it. Ask for his opinion on the night before meeting because he will be in the bathroom. Yes, coaches are babysitters sometimes because everyone becomes a child sometimes. I don't give a fuck about being one. I don't give a fuck about being one because winning is the primary goal. If I need a babysit, I will. Of course, not all the time, as players are not children all the time. So this is a deleted tweet. Now, my immediate mind goes to two different places, and this is because I'm someone that always asks about the why, right? Normally, when you see someone lash out, when you see someone say things a certain way, when you see someone be agitated a certain way, etc., especially that goes against the norm or something that's not consistent, then your first immediate reaction, or most people's first immediate reaction, is not to actually wonder why that's happening. It's just to react to it, right? So like, for instance, if like in high school, if you see a kid constantly being late to school and constantly being tired in class, or maybe their their clothes are always dirty, or like these types of things. I think the knee-jerk reaction is to look at the kid as lazy or unmotivated or just a delinquent or like all these other types of things, whereas I think that those are ultimately symptoms of a potentially larger problem that might be brewing at home. Why isn't the kid able to sleep through the night? What is going on there? Why are they unmotivated in school? Why are their clothes dirty? Does that mean that they're not being washed at home? Why are they not being washed at home? Anyways, the why is always really important. So the why here is, okay, does he have a gastrointestinal issue, right? And some people in the thread already pointed out, several autoimmune disease disorders and whatnot. Or does he have an anxiety issue? And that is a real serious thing, as someone that can personally talk about struggles with anxiety and stressors and these types of things. So obviously this is like a surface explanation. I don't know. I've never met Jojo. I've never talked with them, I think, outside of like third-party interactions, and I think maybe once on Twitter. So I don't know what's going on there. These are definitely ways to manage the symptoms. This is symptom management. But there's that. Okay. So that's what's going on there. This thread, there's a lot of people obviously pointing out that something doesn't quite sound right with gastrointestinal and, etc. Alorum, Alorum actually points out there's been a couple of pros actually that have suffered from stuff like this. Now, interestingly, there's other pros that have something similar to this, but it only actually comes up on certain days or certain moments. There are like some players, like I remember when I was on Gravity, right? Before every single LCS match, this is in 2015, the player Cop had to go to the bathroom because, I guess it's a manifestation of anxiety, right? So he'd always go to the LCS bathroom very long before a match, and he knew that it was going to happen before an LCS match. He had to go to the bathroom, and it probably has something to do with like anxiety. Now, over the years, I've obviously encountered various players from all different regions. They have like their own anxieties manifest sometimes before matches, and there's like almost rituals that they have to do. So I don't know if that's what's going on in this instance. But I necessarily wouldn't be surprised. Extremely inappropriate leak from a former coach about a player, which is probably why I deleted it, unfortunately. No, the reason that he probably deleted it is because normally when C9 releases people, they're actually all bound to NDAs, right? And oftentimes there's like a lot of clauses in the termination agreements and like all these other types of things that you're not supposed to talk about certain things. And because he's talking specifically about Jojo, I don't see this one gets a little bit murky for me, where I don't have any I'm not familiar with how a situation like this would work. But because C9 and Jojo are in the middle of like their legal thing, this obviously goes over very poorly. I wouldn't be surprised if C9 told him to delete the tweet. Really unprofessional, but hope he's not in deep shit for it. So I hate this word. Because I think that most people who use it don't know what it means. And even if they are using it correctly, it still ends up kind of being like, what the fuck does that mean? Because people have different standards or expectations for what the word even means. Professional, right? In the first place. Oftentimes, when I see people use the word professional, it's almost synonymous with me with like fake. At least the way that it's used and thrown around as a word within the scene. It's not professional to be a mannequin that just does ABC textbook things just so that you're able to fill in the dots and color in the picture of whatever the exact requirements are with a smile on your face. Like I hate this word, not because the word is bad, but I hate the way that it's used inside of the esports space. Often skipped English class to take a nap on the shitter because I CBA studying for Virginia Woolf. Okay, so the comments here are pretty whatever. Okay, so comments here, whatever, and then obviously there's this thread. I did not expect my tweet to turn into a thread. And then apparently Inspired posted on X, don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking Jojo is not a hardworking player and also not the best NA mid laner ever. Okay. I mean, two things can be true. C9 can be saying this out of contract, and it can be absolutely warranted, given the horrible state, etc. Okay. I would be absolutely shocked if C9 did not have some type of performance requirements built into all of their contracts, especially one as expensive as Jojo's. They do, actually. So this was something that I've heard started getting implemented in 2023, where now there's a lot of, incentive-based performances. So your contracts are very big. The base is not particularly big. Or, I mean, in some cases, well, big is relative, right? So oftentimes you have like bonuses depending on, and I think Fudge, did Fudge talk about this on one of the co-streams, or maybe it was Ven or like something like that. But a lot of teams are doing this now, right? This isn't out of the norm. So like for instance, even if I don't speak about my particular C9 contract, like my T1 coaching contract, right, had a lot of bonuses and incentives that were worth more than the base itself. And that's typically going to be really fine if you're joining an org like C9 or you're joining, an org like G2 or Fnatic or like these things. Players probably don't mind, but it's in the best interest of the org to protect themselves by doing that. And I think Team Liquid actually did that in 2022 with several of the contracts, maybe even 2023. Jojopyun's lawyers can argue that he was targeted and discriminated against if C9 members were repeatedly late but did not receive a similar punishment. This is true. Well, according to EG Coach deleted tweet, yes, they were coddling him, literally having to remind him to use the bathroom like a 4-year-old. Okay. Well, it's not necessarily a 4-year-old. Again, anxiety and mental health problems, and especially if this is a stomach problem, does not inherently mean that he's a 4-year-old. It means that he has different struggles than you have, and there's different ways that that person has to go about, like, remedying it. Fucking Christ, man. Jojo, Alp is 100% an LS stan. I don't recognize this guy's ID, I don't think. Jojo doesn't care about being on time at all and is too immature to realize the possible outcomes to change. Jojo still cares about League and tries hard to win. Same with these two things based on Ops Edit. Kind of interesting that the person trying to hard push the takes and discredit C9 is the other person terminated from C9 with cause. Incorrect! I was terminated without cause. True. Now, why would that be? Why? Now, obviously, if you understand legalities, okay, there's a very big difference between without cause and with cause when things start to get murky. But yes, I was terminated without cause. So a very funny comment from C9 fan, Mern91, 48 minutes ago. Thank you very much. And I also think, like, even at the time, like, when I tweeted, I said that I was never told a reason. Yeah, I was never told a reason. I was never given a reason on that day. And then even afterwards, yeah, I never had a talk with Jack or, like, anything. In fact, Jack wasn't even the one that told me that I was released. It was the team manager, Vincent Lewis, along with the C9 lawyer at the time. Never actually spoke to Jack upon being released, which apparently is almost a first from what I've heard. Maybe not a first, but it is very rare. So that was, that's interesting. But anyways, yeah, that happened before all the follow-up, like, legal lawyer stuff and NDA and all this other type of stuff. Anyways, either he gets his contract justifiably terminated and C9 gets rid of his contract easy without paying. Okay, so yes, here's the thing, guys. Here's the fucking thing. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer. What is that? I am not a lawyer. I-anal. True. All right. So I-anal, I think is the acronym on Reddit. I'm not a lawyer. For cause versus without cause. So it's my understanding, and again, I'm not a fucking lawyer, okay? This is just from conversations with other people, as well as me myself asking what the difference was between these two different types of things. So without cause can have weird stuff go on with it depending on the other things in the contract, right? For cause generally allows the org and the company to protect itself, I think in most cases, and also potentially not have to pay out other things in the contract. So Ergo, they're allowed to save money. So for cause versus without cause. Again, this is where it gets really sticky. Now, the other thing is that the 43 tardiness type things. Now, I saw some comments such as, was Jojo even being notified that he was actually late? And that is an interesting thing. So I don't necessarily know if Jojo, now I haven't heard from anyone, if Jojo was actually being notified that he was even late. So this could have been like not post hoc. This could have been like looked at after the fact. Like they decide to fire him, and then they're like, okay, we have to find a reason. We have to find something tangible, right? And so maybe they go back and they get this. Now there could be that, yes, there is tardinesses, but like obviously they need something excessive for breach of contract, right? Oh my god, can't type. Breach of contract, because this is ultimately what they're trying to do in a legal sense. And again, I'm not a lawyer, okay? So if any lawyer, etc. Ellis is rumored to have been fired for basically similar issues of wasting people's time for not attending what C9 deemed mandatory activities. Incorrect. So it's not surprised he thinks it's irrelevant. Again, incorrect. So here's the thing. I won't, again, talk about... I won't talk about specifics, but anytime people come out with these, like, weird-ass takes, I'm always going to... Like also how I corrected the Sven Winsome incident with the control words. And also we had, like, Max on stream and Revan and these other people that were able to testify to that incident, right? There was no smacking or slamming of tables or anything like that. And it was just misremembered by Sven, I think, like the order of events. And I was really confident that event is even somewhere on the cloud because that room that we were all in, and when it happened, it was like the scrim room, and there's the recording and stuff. And I ended up smacking a table the way that I talked about that. There's a clip on Twitch somewhere. Or like YouTube, sorry. There's I smacked a table, like open palm smacked a table, very frustrated. When no players were in the room, and it was just a conversation between all the coaches. Anyways, does it help C9 financially to shed, just because one thing is true doesn't mean the opposite must be as well. Does it help C9 financially to shed his contract after missing Worlds and probably a lot of money from sponsors? True, sure. In this cynical scenario, the only thing C9 can come up with is exaggerate a few times he was late and tell their staff to make shit up. True. Don was specific in the number he said, 43, after they bothered to start tracking. Does Ellis deny this is unprofessional for potentially missing 60-plus meeting scrims? Is he calling them liars flat out and saying Jojo was never late? No, so I don't know where people extrapolate this from my fucking tweet. In fact, I really struggle with this, okay? And there are, and I've talked about this openly several times, there are many times where people know that I'm actively still in therapy for trying to better emotionally regulate and like do these types of things. And I think that I've made leaps and strides, obviously, over the last 2 years. Anyone who watches my stream, or you guys just know I have less blow-ups lately, right? When they're theatrical, they're obviously more for theatrics and whatnot. I do still have like my tirades on like Twitter where I get into it with people the same way that like Gigglypuff gets into it with people, and I live vicariously through her tweets every single fucking morning. But anyways, with that being said, I don't know how people extrapolated this claim from my tweet, right? I'm saying that it doesn't make sense, and the claim seems to be ridiculous, right? I don't think that any of us would have ever heard about this. No one would have heard about this, right? Had they just beat 100 Thieves, right? So I didn't call him professional or unprofessional for potentially missing 60-plus meeting scrims. But I will give you my comment. What determines being late, okay? If he comes in 1 or 2 minutes after he's supposed to, he's such a good fucking player, I'm not going to care, right? And I don't know why. This is like a very American thing, where they will look at something really hyper-specific, and I don't know if this is, like, fucking cultural or whatever, and this also happens with, like, Americans in, like, other jobs and workplaces getting released when they need, like, time off, or when they're having a personal issue, or they, like, fail to get, personal time off, or, like, these types of things, etc. It's, like, a very American thing to not realize what the value or worth of someone is bringing and how much they're doing when they're actually there, versus whatever it is that you're taking gripe with, right? Someone could be one of the best employees that you have. Maybe you're running some sort of a chain or a business, right? And when that person's actually there, they perform at a considerably higher number or like percentage, value, whatever, than several other employees, right? But sometimes they have like some issues, right? But when they're there, and maybe they even work overtime sometimes, or they actually don't clock out on time, so they're doing all these things. I think all the context and the why is super fucking important, especially when, like in this instance, we're talking about a teenager who probably hasn't had much help in life and who probably hasn't had much regulation and guidance and all these other types of things going on. So it's not that I don't think being late is 43 times is bad. I just still care about the fucking why and how much. And that's just sort of how I operate, right? And I could bring up many other really big, stars and players from other games or even other types of events, right, that aren't even necessarily esports related, that will have similar instances of tardiness, but you're willing to like forego it because of everything else that they do bring. And I think it's like really American culturally to not care about those like asterisks and like these types of things. Now, does it mean that it should be that way, or it wouldn't be better if they were just on time or these other things? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I think context is really important. Whys are really important. And I think like accuracy of whatever it is that's being discussed is really important, because I think that all of them tie together. Like if Jojo is 1 minute or 2 minutes late every single day, when you consider that it's a person of his caliber, I don't think that it's actually that big of a deal. Now, on the flip side, I do think it's also important to like sort of know who you are, right? In that you don't want to give people leverage or things against you. You don't ever want to let it be close. So for instance, like even if I were to speak in my own instance, LCK, right? I knew that there was someone in LCK that had it out for me, right? There was someone that had leaked a story to Inven in an effort to get me fired. That was in 2019 January, right? Someone had like misconstrued and just said things that weren't accurate and like really stirred the pot. And it was someone from LCK that went to Inven and told a journalist to report the story, right? Now, obviously, I'm aware and I'm cognizant that these type of people exist. And so typically, like at LCK, I always showed up really early, right? Call time's 4, I'm there at 3:40. Because I'm aware of who I am in that instance, and I want to make sure that this motherfucker has like nothing that he can't possibly get anything, right? And I think that stuff like that is important. I think it's important to know who you are, and whatnot. Anyways, so that was a little bit of a side rant, right? Anyways, moving on. Just because C9 benefits from canceling this contract, what they might have forgiven him, they made Worlds, does not damage he was probably late many times. True, okay. The reason they were getting rid of him is clearly attitude and the fact that he clearly did not give two shits about respecting other people's time. Well, no, I don't think that that's entirely it. I mean, again, I said in my tweet that there's going to be more parts of the stories that ends up coming out. It's not just attitude and stuff like that. C9 operates with player input most of the time, right? So yes, there was conflict amongst players and stuff. So unless C9 flatly calls out C9 or Dom for lying about the 43 times he was late, I don't see how that changes anything for Jojo. Well, of course, because we just don't care about like context and everything else, that I've already discussed. The fact that they let him slide until summer, then giving him even more leeway since they wanted to make Worlds badly is a testament to C9's failure as an org. Grinding in solo queue producing results doesn't mean shit if you cannot act in a professional manner and respect other people's time. Man, I think people's brains would break if they knew some of the absolute like star fucking talent that literally carry teams that have instances of acting in similar manners, right? Like it's just, and again, I think it's whatever. Ellis is rumored to have been fired for basically similar to wasting people's time. Can you provide a source for this? Every rumor I've heard is that he was fired for not buying into or agreeing with C9's holistic developmental system that involves going to the gym, eating healthy, etc. No, so Jim stuff. Again, I've already talked about this, right? I think that Jim, like in my own opinion, I think that like T1 schedule is one of the best that I've seen. I also think it just makes the most sense. I think Jim stuff is good. I think that it is helpful. I think that it is important. Sure, absolutely. I think the timing of it at C9 is not good. Sure. Eating healthy, this doesn't make sense to me because obviously like eating healthy is good, and like C9 has catering and their catering is actually really fucking good. And then they also allow you to order like whatever it is that you want to order. I think you just have to notify them a little bit in advance and they'll get you personally prepped meals. So that's just not true. I don't know where the eating healthy thing comes from. I don't know what the etc. is. You're all twisting that into him being lazy somehow when actually he wanted to focus more on the game than they were doing. So if that's not the case, you better provide receipts. There were definitely some rumors around that he was late to scrims and such too. Rumors, aka Redditors, when they make shit up, could be, but you were holding a steadfast on rumors and exercise trust that hasn't been leaked. It is kept very tight-lipped by everyone involved. This is intentional, that it's kept very tight-lipped by everyone involved. And when people have tried to leak inaccuracies over the years, you might have noticed that the inaccuracies went away really quick. So, yes, again, I think I've remained pretty consistent. I don't talk about stuff. I do celebrate the C9 players, and, like, obviously, yes, there is conflict, right? The stuff that Blabber talked about. In his most recent interview, with you know, like between me and the org and stuff. But yeah, so there is that. Everyone really doesn't talk about it, and the people that do come out with like inaccurate claims and rumors, they oftentimes end up deleting what's going on. Anyways, sources, whatever, the most based comment. Ellis is an absolute shitpot, true, when it comes to drama, and of course he would defend Jojo. How is my tweet defending Jojo? Rather than asking questions and trying to be... What the fuck? That said, C9 is an organization ran by but adults, and let the monkeys run the circuit. Jojo can look like a black mark to other orgs. Okay. Okay. I'm sure glad we keep speculating on LS's very unbiased opinions on the sub. Unprofessional fired coach defends player kicked for supposedly being unprofessional. Again, if you were to ask this person what this word meant, they would not be able to tell you. Yeah, anyways, the only thing, it's one thing if only LS is giving his opinion, but Jojo's former teammates such as Fudge and Inspired have been positive about him as well. I don't expect it to be perfect. Well, this is the other thing. That people don't like reading between the lines sometimes, right? People don't like using subcontext. Like, so for instance, you know, if there was a person that was like, so, you know, let me just use Dom as an example, right? If someone were to come out with a rumor or a story, okay, that Dom doesn't like it, let's say Dom joins, like a team or something, right? And then let's say that the story is that Dom isn't doing anything, right? Or Dom isn't showing up to work, okay? Dom is one of the most chronically online, 4-time zone, multi-regional co-streamer, okay, that has sacrificed his sleep for the last 3-4 fucking years and has the most absurd of fucking schedules known to man, okay? He literally suffered from sleep apnea, uses a CPAP or whatever, then got his health in order, and then still kept hitting all of the time zone stuff, okay? So if I were to see a story come out that, you know, something work-related to that came up, it wouldn't be consistent, and I think that's what Inspired is, like, trying to say here, and, like, Fudge and others, right? It wouldn't be consistent with his level of work ethic that is already displayed in other places, right? And I think that it's almost a skill to pause whenever you see even two sides of a story, and then try to ponder and just wait for more information. But anyways, C9, LS is a historical C9 hater, except for when LS was earning a paycheck from C9. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm a historical C9 hater, which is why in 2020 I helped them with roster building, and then in 2020 off season, moving into 2021, when they weren't going to go with Vigar and weren't going to go with Max Waldo, and Jack actually unfollowed them both on Twitter. and all this other stuff. I had 2 different calls with Jack, one time by proxy of Fudge. Fudge had to get the door, so Jack took over the headset and mic, so I just wasn't sitting there, etc. So yeah, and then also when they were going to go with 2 absolutely horrendous rosters, I also stopped that too. So including the 2022 thing in which they ended up winning Summer and all this other type of. So I mean that's pretty good. Also, this is not even my quote. This is not. Oh, actually, hold on, wait. Fudge will be the best mid laner in the West. Yeah, okay. Actually, sorry, that is my quote. I thought is the best. I misread it. I thought that it was the best. Look at C9. Look at C9 hate. Look at LS hate watching C9 as soon as he got fired. Oh, is this where I cry because Max wins? Yeah. This is where I cried because Max won. Which was really good. But again, you have to understand the backstory between me and Max. Wouldn't be surprised if LS was into numerology and entertained a hollow earth theory. So I what the fuck? What? 5 months. LS is a League of Legends content creator and pundit that has been in the scene for well over a decade and has had quite a bit of controversy surrounding him over the years. He has jumped onto false reports before. Like what? Wait, what? What false report? What false report? I literally broke the fucking LCS CB LOL story. I broke the LCS CB fucking LOL story, which was like literally an hour after the meeting concluded. Like, there was also 2 years where I was like doing stuff with the Pokemon, right? Like there was the temporary thing on YouTube where I was like doing some of the roster moves and whatnot because we were pondering like transitioning into that. These people are so fucking weird. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, guys, TLDR, wait for more information. Don't just immediately wait. The game already started. What? I thought 510.
The brush.
I'm so sorry.
So I think King and
Oh my god, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so fucking sorry. Oh my god.
Opportunity. Pre-6 Nocturne dive. Generally not going to be too threatening, and Owner is on the opposite.